Hi guys and girls on YouTube, welcome to my channel. In this video we're going to be looking at this vintage Hitachi TV. Now it could date from 1982 and it could date from 1983. I don't actually know till we get the back off, and the reason for that is there's two variants of this exact same set. So let's just take a quick look round and then we'll look at the back. You've got your customer controls in there, your tuning, channel change, on and off, volume, and if we look up here, Hitachi have retained the word Instavision, which it was a word they used for early TVs that had a quick warm-up heater that had a very short life, and they soon dropped that idea, but they carried on using the word Instavision. So let's there's a big crack in the cabinet there that's going to need repairing, which will probably mean this needs repainting. Let's turn it round the back. It's very dirty, wants a really good clean. That's the back. You just got your RF input. There's some holes there. What are they for? Oh, vertical controls. You can pop a screwdriver in. So let's have a look. The model number is a CPT 1471, 52 watts power consumption, made in Japan. Let's get out the service manuals and I'll show you what the difference is, because it's quite a major change. Right, so here we've got the service manual side by side. You can see it carries the same model number but a different variant, and if we look at the year of construction on this manual, that's May 82 and that one is November 83. Now the difference was the frame output stage. I think it was the early one that used an IC with 2 transistors and a couple of diodes in, not very clever, and the later one used a dedicated NEC UPC something frame output IC. But we can open the manuals and just take a quick look at that before we get the back off. In fact, when you compare these two, there's a lot more differences than what I could remember about the frame stage. All the ICs are completely different, apart from the one that gave the most trouble, and this is what let this set down, is the STR 6020. He used to give out too much voltage and cause the set to trip. That was the most common fault in these. In fact, Hitachi produced a kit of spare parts for these. I'll have to go and have a look. I've probably got one. But the main part was the IC, but Hitachi they actually provided a lot more parts in the kit that never used to go wrong. 99% of the time you only had to change that, but it came with a lot of parts. So let's look at the frame output stage, and here we've got a UPC 1378H. that's your frame output chip, and in the earlier one we've got a Sanken STA 441C, just a pair of transistors and 2 diodes in a chip encapsulation. But what I'd forgotten about is all these chips are different. Anyway, that's no big deal, because whichever of these service manuals it is, we've got the one to repair this set. So how do we know if the STR 6020 had gone? Well, back in its day, you'd turn the set on, you'd hear a massive rise of EHT, probably even a flash over the crack, and the set would go dead. And the reason for that, we've got excessive extra high tension, and there's a crowbar circuit here. You can see a thyristor, and that's triggered by measuring different points along the circuit, and what it does, it just takes down the 112 volt railers. It just dumps it down to ground to shut down the power supply. Now on this one we've got discrete components, and on the other one we've actually got it's the same thyristor, but we've got a dedicated thick film module measuring the different voltages. Right, so I think what we need to do now is just get the back off and see what we've got. Right, so that's the set with the back off, and straight away I can see we've got a Mark 1 because the chip on that heatsink there, that is that one, STA441C, and the thick film unit and the thyristor are, I believe, that's the thick film unit, the white one, and right next to it there, that's the trip, electronic trip thyristor. So let's have a quick look. You've got Hitachi tube. Now, one thing I had forgotten about these, I'd completely forgotten about this, is the tube base is actually a thick film unit. Because I mean, it's such a long time ago, last time I repaired one of these. I think what we're going to have to do, that's the STR6020 there that gave all the trouble. That's the line output transistor which used to come in the kit and it never failed. I think what I'm going to do is give this a good hoover out first, and then we can have a bit better look at it, this set. But I mean, it's probably in pretty good condition, just very, very dirty because this is quite an old set now. Let's get the hoover on it. Right, so a little bit of cleaning later, and now it looks like this. So we're getting closer now to actually plugging this in. I am of course going to reform the mains reservoir capacitor because I've no idea when this was last used. Looking at it, it's been a long time. And you can see there we have a live chassis because we've got the aerial isolator there, and if you look down there we've got a headphone socket, which means you need an isolating transformer for the headphone output as well, because of the live chassis. But if you look, it's not in too bad a condition now. I am of course going to just have a look underneath first and check for any dry joints. And I've also cleaned around the anode cavity. You can see that's nice and shiny because we don't want any flashovers under there. So are we going to need an STR6020? I don't know until we plug it in, see what happens. I've got a feeling that these used to go intermittent. But anyway, we'll soon find out when we plug it in. Let's take the camera underneath and have a look underneath the chassis now. See if we can see anything under there that needs attending to. That's your thick film unit, and the transistors are actually on the back there, surface mounted. Right, let's look underneath now. Right, now the bad news is nothing under here has been done to this set. So it's probably not had a great deal of use, or it's been very, very reliable, one or the other. Now you'll notice around the frame output, the pair of transistors that I mentioned, it looks a bit burnt, but I think that is only flux from the factory soldering. I think I'm going to clean that and see if it'll clean off, because although it looks like it's got hot, I don't think for 1 minute it has. It looks just like flux that's not been cleaned off at the factory. But there's no dry joints apart from one on there that doesn't really matter. The STR, that doesn't look like that's ever been soldered, so we might need a new one of them. It looks absolutely original, this. But just to prove the point, I'm just going to clean that with a bit of flux remover. So there you go. I've just cleaned it with this Chemtronics flux remover, and what appeared to look like a hot running area has not even been hot at all. Look, you can see all that brown staining was just flux that hasn't been cleaned off at the factory. So I think, in fact, I've cleaned quite, you can see where I've cleaned up to there, quite a large area. I'm just going to dry that off first, and then I think we might just plug it in and see what happens. Right, well, while that's reforming away, let's just take a look at one of these mod kits that Hitachi used to supply, the STR 6020 mod kit. Well, that's your STR, that's your line output transistor that never used to go. There's also a safety resistor, I think that was part of the frame, a capacitor and another transistor. And here we have the instructions. And a fault finding chart there, but like I say, most of these parts never used to fail. You just put the STR in, it'd be fine. I mean, obviously if we need any other parts we'll fit them, but let's just plug it in and see what happens. Right, so I'll just get these out of the bag, you can just have a quick look. That's what came in your modification kit. Right, here we go then, let's see what happens. So, make sure it's switched off there, on at the mains, 3, 2, 1. Oh, I think it's come on. Yeah, see some speckles there, we have a raster. Let's have a look, brightness. Yeah, well, what about that? All we need to do now is just connect a signal to it, see what the tube's like. Actually, I can see a bit of a fault on it. I don't know if it shows up on the camera, it might do with the pictures on, but we've got slow frame flyback with some lines running across here, so it's probably the flyback boost capacitor in the frame that's faulty, but you might see that better when we get a signal to it. Actually, just look at the picture on that. I don't think this set's had a lot of use, but you can see the frame fault there and the lines at the top. This black band's coming from the camera if I just move back. Let's put a picture on it. Right, that's better.
Transformation of this courtyard into a glamorous event space, available for hire for events up to 200 people. It's quite hard.
Yeah, you can just about see the lines at the top. Right, so what we're going to change to cure that, let's have a look at the service manual. Right, so I think the prime suspects here are these two capacitors, that one there and that one there. Let's just change them first. Well, surprisingly, changing them two capacitors hasn't cured it. We've still got the retrace lines at the top. Oh, you can see it better now. So, back to the drawing board then. Right, so that transistor there is the flyback boost transistor. I've changed them two capacitors and it's not cured it. So let's have a look at that. It's Q681 on the circuit board. Now, if you look at these instructions that comes with the STR kit, it says here Q681 should be replaced with a 2SD401. So I think I'm going to fit that in, even though I've never actually changed one of them in this before. There's obviously a reason why it's changed from that transistor to that one. So let's put the 2SD401 in now and see what happens. Right, so that's Q681 flyback booster. I see what we're doing now. So we're changing that transistor from a small signal to a power transistor. So maybe the Hitachi have had a problem with that, and that's why they've included that in the kit. Let's get it in. Right, well that hasn't cured it, but I've also noticed we've got another symptom. We've got a slight bit of field bounce on change of scene as well. So, back to the drawing board then, or back to the circuit diagram.
They're heading east to a county that has a series of waterways known as the Broads.
Right, so I think I found it. This diode here appears to be short circuit. I can't see anything else it can be in here. but I'm just going to remove it just to check it out of circuit. I can't see anything else that would give a short circuit reading in the board, so I'm pretty certain that's faulty, but I'll just whip that out and just check it. There we go, that's the diode out. There we go, dead short. Right, so I'm not sure what we're going to replace that with. I don't think I've got one of them. I'll just have a look. Well, that's the one there, IS2076A. I don't have one of them. We're going to have to get an equivalent book out now and have a look. Right, so here we go. I've got out my trusty 1997 equivalence book. As you can see, there's a hell of a lot of pages in it. And so it's IS2076A. In fact, actually, I've made a mistake. It's not IS, it's 1S. 1S2076A, made by Hitachi, silicon diode, 70 volts. Let's go across here. Equivalents: BAW62, BAX95, 1N4148. Well, fancy that, I've got millions of them, so that's what's going in. Right, here we go. New diode in.
Where'd you have that? I went on holiday with my previous girlfriend, and we'd love to.
There we go, fault cured. Sorted. And do you know what's strange about this set? The volume control doesn't crackle when you turn it up and down.
Loads of wet bricks, and we're going to give that lease of life, mate. Yeah, and the wood. You're not beautiful.
I mean, how strange is that? You would have thought that'd be crackly. But yeah, there you go. Really good picture on that. Let's turn the colour down, check the grayscale. Yeah, even that's good. So I would imagine quite highly likely this set hasn't had a lot of use. Hang on, that's the camera making that black bar. There we go. Look at that. Just put the skybox on. You can see how sharp the focusing is.
Wow. 1,154 cups of coffee and all of Chandler's clothes. Are you wearing any more clothes? What have we learned so far? 6 brands.
Right, sorted then. So all we need now is to repair that crack in the cabinet, and it needs a really good clean up, this TV. Alright guys and girls on YouTube, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Many thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.